Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, DEI coordinator for the city of Appleton.
And I am Andy Anam, the communication manager for the city of Appleton.
And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together.
And as usual, we always try to get great guests on our podcast, and I cannot wait to hear who is our special guest today.
We do got a fantastic guest today, and I'm really excited about this episode, actually. So today's guest is Brian Leone-Tracy from Fox Valley Literacy. Brian is the executive director.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for being here and spending some time with us here at Appleton Engaged. Brian, can you please tell us about yourself and your association with Appleton and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Sure. Well, my family and I moved here just over 6 years ago. We were actually out by the D.C. area, so, totally even transition. It's all the same here. But I'm a Midwesterner, and we wanted to get back to the Midwest. That's where our people are. And we were lucky enough to find some great opportunities here, and we are going to be here for years to come. We've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and our low-end goal is they need to finish high school here.
Right.
So yeah, that's what brought us here. My wife's a minister in town.
Oh.
Over at the Fox Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's about how we ended up here. I've got a bigger job market than she does. Not shocking anybody. So she kind of led the way when we were looking to get out of the D.C. area, and just kind of worked out really marvelously for us.
Yeah. Well, we're super glad you landed here.
Me too.
Can you please tell us about Fox Valley Literacy?
Sure. So Fox Valley Literacy is an adult education organization. We're not an accredited anything other than a nonprofit, but it's been around for over 33 years now in a couple of different, and before that it was a volunteer organization, so I'm not sure exactly how long. But we serve adults of all walks in the Fox Valley region. Our office is in downtown Appleton. We're just north of the yellow parking ramp near the transit center and the former and soon to be again library. This year we've already served over 400 students, and people come to us for all kinds of things. I think when people hear literacy, they go, well, I like to read books sometimes, which is a good thing. I like to read books sometimes too. But it's really a lot more for the people who come to us.
Yeah, I agree. When you hear literacy, I think the first place you do is you think of reading and libraries and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But your organization does a whole lot more than that. What does that look like?
Sure. We get people coming to us with, a lot of it is English language learners. We get a lot of people from other countries, but we also get people who have only lived in the Fox Valley their entire life. And maybe they didn't get enough time in school. Maybe they had a learning issue that wasn't diagnosed. Maybe they did that all just fine, but now they can't navigate computers. And if you don't have digital literacy, good luck working anywhere. You need computers at McDonald's and every manufacturer now.
Yes.
You can't get work. So we do digital literacy. We help people get citizenship. So we have people studying. Last year, 18 people passed the citizenship because of our tutors' work.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to say when you come out of the office. Well, there was a lot of boring meetings, but hey, somebody became a citizen because of the work that these people are showing up to do because they care about the community. That's fun.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's even more. I'm really curious about particularly the work that's done with our English second language, our English language learners.
Yeah. So we have that makes up the vast majority of our work. We are doing more with like the digital and native English speakers as we grow, but that's always going to be the bread and butter because these are the people who have chosen Fox Valley. They've chosen to come up here, and they are trying to make themselves a part of the community. They want to get more connected, more involved in the different ways. We're helping them figure out how they can help navigate their kids' school system so that they can be the parent their kid needs them to be. We're helping them figure out how to deal with the healthcare system, and I need a coach for that sometimes. We're helping them just feel at home. Like if you can't go to, we'll not say McDonald's, we'll say Copper Rock because I would rather go there. And you can't order on your own, you're never going to feel at home, never. And we want them to be at home. The community needs them. Like we're better off with more people here contributing, and there's very few people I've met who are as engaged in working as hard to be connected as some of the people that come through our doors.
Facts.
So what I understand is you are basically shaping life of countless people because that's a different set. These are layered. I mean, you're helping regular people finding their way into bigger restaurants or like communicating with people. But on the other hand, you're also helping people who have language challenge in terms of native language speaking. And then you are helping them, get the resources, getting connected in digital way. So what all segments there are, I mean, these are layered and tiered.
Well, and you think about the overlap and the impacts that we can't see quite as directly, but I mean, has anyone stopped seeing the hiring signs that just keep going up and everyone's still trying to hire at like $23 an hour, which I never thought would be a thing I saw just advertised on a signpost? We have people who can do those jobs. We have people who've done better jobs than that in other countries. Like, and that's like some of the most fun work. Like our mission statement is actually Fox Valley Literacy shares the power of learning to transform lives and enrich the community. There's a couple of things I really like about it. It was around before me. I have nothing to do with it. I'm not like patting my own back here. But it doesn't say anything about like test scores or literacy levels because I don't care about those. Like it's a useful tool, but I'm not going to feel excited if somebody moves up to a level 3 if they still can't get a good job because that means they didn't get the service they actually needed from us.
So what is the minimum eligibility to participate in the programs you have for different segments? Like, do they have to come and fill out some form and what kind of expenditure they are looking at? I understand there are a lot of people from the refugee communities coming in here. They have issues with that. So I was wondering, what all programs you have and how do you navigate through these challenges because of different communities involved in this?
Sure. So there's like two big questions there. Is what are your programs and how do people get connected and what do they got to do? So for the longest time, our programming was solely one-on-one tutoring. And we do that with what we call like dedicated matches. So, some places for good reasons are like first in, first out. Whoever's on the waiting list longest gets it. Part of our intake process, which is one of the only requirements, is we get that kind of information. Like, what is your actual need? What are your goals? Like, what is your level? As well as, are you going to be okay with a male tutor if you're a female? Is your husband going to be okay with that? Because that could cause a real problem in some of these places. And we just want to, that's not our place to care, judge, any of that. It's like, all right, so that's a thing. So how do we work with this to make sure you get a good match? So the one-on-one tutoring program is incredible. And we have some students and tutors who have been working together for 6-7 years, some longer. And that's not because they haven't made progress. I've had people who are like, I need to learn English. Okay, well, now I need to get my GED. Or I'm going to go to the tech. I'm going to open a small business. Like, they don't stop. They just keep going. So they get to make this really deep relationship. Like, people spend holidays together. The downside to the one-on-one tutoring is that it's one-on-one, and there is a large demand in this area. I've got 46 people on the wait list, and we haven't recruited for students in at least 5 years. So we've started offering more group classes, and that's something that we're working on how to scale and build up so that we can do beginner level English for people who come from a Spanish-speaking background so that we can kind of group more people together. We've got a small office right over here in downtown, as I said, and we can sardine about 12 people in if we open the windows into that room. But we want to know, how do we get people as good of a service as we can while allowing ourselves to reach more people than we do currently? Because even with all that said, so overall this year we've already served about 400 people, and that's about average, and it's growing. So we have 200 volunteer tutors a year.
Wow.
Some of them have been tutoring. We sign anniversary cards for our tutors every month. Keeps people engaged, lets them know that they're loved because they do the work. I just enable all these things and manage stuff. They make things happen. I've got people who've been tutoring for 22 years.
Wow. 22?
22. Like, that's quite a long time.
Yeah, that's an investment.
Well, and that is also tells you the power of it. Like, the people will come back that long to go over probably some of the same books time over time with different people. So before we can dive into anything, but I want to make sure that I actually stay on track and actually answer Andy's question. So last year we launched our first workplace literacy classes where we've gone on site for a couple of employers who have current refugee or immigrant groups. And how do we arrange this so they're more successful? Like, great, you got them in the door. They are not fluent. There are management challenges because usually management is solely English speaking. So how do we help them scale up? Because it's going to keep them here longer, which is much better for the company. It's way better for that student and their family if they don't have to be as concerned. And getting the employer to invest and go, and again, especially in this job market, how do I stay competitive? How do I get a hold? If there is a hiring issue, but I can tap into this group, I can get ahead. So it's fun to find those balances. We are working on formalizing it a little bit more, and in 24 we're going to really kind of roll it out now that we've got a couple of pilots behind us and got some case studies, so that we can kind of shop this around to see how do we go work together. And it's, again, we need to meet our people where they're at. They're already at work. Some of them are working 14 hours a day. They don't have time to go anywhere else. And then our last program that we just launched this year was our first pilot, is we were doing a family literacy program. And not to compete with Even Start, we're actually working it with an older age group because there's enough work to go around, and I would rather build off and support something else than start a competition. And our pilot focused, and the next pilot will as well, on the Hmong community. Because while they've actually been here, a significantly long time, there's a bigger disconnect and need in the community. And some of that's on the found heritage literacy, because the impact of that is one of those funny things that you don't think about, that then you go, wait, the trends among older immigrants who aren't connected to their older generations anymore because they wanted to do the American way, not just do the English. The mental health crisis rates are way higher in those communities. And especially for the Hmong, that's a community that there is not a lot. They need to preserve what they have. And that is also part of what makes our community awesome, is that we have this rich population that is not known in so many places. So working with them on their digital skills, their mental health and health literacy, as well as during the parent and child together time, we're actually working with speaking Hmong, which is a language that is not almost a written language anymore and is fading. What more strong way can we say to this community that has been here for decades, has been enriching our community for decades? We value what you have when you showed up and what you're doing today. So those are the 4 big programs: family literacy, workplace literacy, small group classes, and one-on-one tutoring.
What's now you gave us this humongous number for the amount of volunteers that you have. What's your team look like?
It is not 200 at all.
Thought so.
Yeah. We are a staff of 6 that is mostly full-time, but we have one part-time as well. We're like everybody else. We supplement where we can. We are lucky to have our second AmeriCorps member ever who just started. But other than that, yeah, there's 6 of us running programming for 400 plus people and managing 200 plus volunteers. And that's not counting the board of directors or anything else.
Are there any initiatives or legacy events or anything that you tend to do or that you have going on currently?
Yeah, we have, we aren't big on, we're definitely not a gala type organization. We're not that fancy. But we have a fundraiser every year. It's in April. It's called Faces of Literacy. And Timber, you should remember this, I know.
Oh, yeah.
You were there.
It was fantastic.
But it's a really fun event that I think it does the mission job well, is it actually allows our students to do their work that they need to for literacy, as well as tell some stories. We create a theme with student and tutor input for each year, and we ask people to write a story about it, and the one for 24 is, I am going to be fired by my communications person if I don't remember it. Sorry. But so this past year it was, what was a time that makes you feel strong? Like, what's it? And we purposely didn't say empowering, because you also have to choose your words carefully when you're working with multiple different languages. And that's part of their study work with their tutor, is the tutor helps them write the story, that guides them. Some people wrote in their native language, and then we did a translation. But the thing that, in 2023, it finally came together the way we've been dreaming it. And every single story that we wrote got paired with a local artist who then created an original painting, graphic design, etc., based on that story. So we had an art gallery of uniquely created artwork, one of a kind, based on the stories of these people, most of whom our community would never know these people. And we got to put these paintings and stories literally up on stage and get our community members, our business leaders, our municipal leaders to come up and learn about these people and what makes them special and strong. We're not going to go tell stories. I don't want to tell stories about somebody's needy and they need your help. It's like, oh, we all need help sometimes. And most of the time I don't get called out to put a story up about it. I want to talk about what makes these people awesome, because we want our community to embrace these people and see what they bring. So we put them up on stage. It's like, some of the art's breathtaking. I wanted to buy one of them, but the students usually take them home for free. So that'll be up at Poplar Hall in April.
So I believe you need a lot of volunteers. So is there anything the community can do? And I think a community can do a lot, because I believe the power of language you were speaking about in layers shows the need in the community. So tell me how the community can be helpful for you.
Sure. You can volunteer for us. You can tutor. You need no experience. The vast majority of our tutors have not set foot in a classroom since they left college. We teach you, we train you. One-on-one tutoring, and this sounds mean, and it's not meant that way, but it's a really low barrier to entry because it's so relational. So even if the first couple are a little awkward, like, you find your stride and then you figure out how to work together. So we always can use volunteers, especially if you do have education background. You can help us figure out how to run our classes better, because I don't do curriculum design usually. We also are always looking for volunteers of other sorts. We have small projects. We, a little over a year ago now, purchased the building we're in downtown Appleton, which is exciting for so many reasons, especially with the development, because we're right in the midst of it. And it's in great shape, but it's a little dated. So we've had a couple of volunteer projects where we get people to come in and paint some of the classroom. I'm still trying to get, some of the wood floor tile was a thing for entryways in Wisconsin once. I don't know why. But so if anyone's really good at laying tile, we could use you. We can always use financial support, of course, too, even if it's just buy a ticket to the event, have some awesome food, hear some awesome music, see some awesome stuff. Come get to know what it really is to be connected and what these people really are all about.
Can you share a story that helps the Appleton Engaged listeners really understand the impact of your organization?
Sure. I'm going to try and narrow my rambling for this, because there's lots of fun options. But this one's kind of like multi-level, so not using a real name, because that's what we do. John came to us 2.5 years ago. Zero English. From a Spanish-speaking country. He'd been a professional in his work back there, but here he was working a packing line, not even like a manufacturing line. You need even less training but that was how he could get a job, so he could take care of his family and do things. And that's generally how a lot of our people start. We have people who are lawyers and doctors who are working in like cafeterias. Yep. So John came to us because he was working on a packing line, and obviously that wasn't his highest dream. They'd gotten settled. They now have this thing. They're in their new home, their new hometown, and he wanted to have part of what he used to have, and he wanted to bring part of his career back. How do I get to do this again? I don't have English. What's the accreditation? What is this? Do I need that? It's a lot of work. But middle of last year, I think, I'm a little fuzzy on timing, John now actually works as an engineer at one of these, at actually the same company he worked in a packing line on, because he has all the skills. He had all the knowledge. But when even the math terms are in a different language, like I couldn't do subtraction in most languages probably, and you're talking about a lot higher level than that. But because of that, we have a professional career level employed person who is connected to this community, whose family now has a better sense and source of income. They now have a bigger community that they're connected to through that employer, who helped him when he got along in this process, who helped him make that transition because they knew the value. And that's also from like more black and white numbers. That is a high level job that stayed in Appleton with somebody who was already here.
Right. Yes. That's powerful. Yeah. How can people get in contact with Fox Valley Literacy? Like, is there a person they should reach out to? What are the ways? What are the connection points?
Absolutely. Well, our office is actually open for walk-ins. If you ever are curious, we say hi to people. We're nice. We're open Monday to Thursday from 9 in the morning till 7 at night, because a lot of people have jobs and then they got to study. So don't come on Friday because we're closed then. Our website's foxvalleylit.org. Call us up, 920-991-9840. And you can always shoot an email to info@foxvalleylit.org, because that way we can direct you. If you're interested in volunteering, if you're interested in becoming a student, please come find us. And we'll get you connected to the right person or resource from there.
All right. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me share.
All right. It is time for shout outs. This is your opportunity to do some shout outs.
All right. So I'd be remiss if I didn't name the staff at Fox Valley Literacy as the first people on the front line here. They're amazing people. Like, I joke with people that I don't actually do a lot of the important work. I do the enabling of the important work. Like, my job is to deal with the money and the bureaucracy so that my staff can help the volunteers, can help the students, because that's how the work gets done. And our board of directors is amazing. Anybody who's ever been a part of a nonprofit knows that that's not something people always say behind closed doors. But I've got a really engaged board who's diverse and young and engaged in different ways. They come from retired to higher education to pure corporate to other nonprofits. And they bring themselves to this work, and they show up in the middle of the day sometimes because the staff want to have a meeting about something. And our funders, the funders are critical to helping us understand where we can be going with this. And a lot of them are starting to hear what's really possible in this community and what more this could be doing. And that's exciting because while I got 200 tutors, some of them are probably don't need more students, and we need them to do that, because without them, there's no delivery of the program. So our tutors are really the face. That's who get to tell the story more often than me, almost. They're the ones out there in their community. They're the ones bringing people to other places and helping people learn this town and what amazing opportunities await them.
Okay. Thank you. So at this time, we're going to start wrapping up this episode. we just want to take a moment, say to the Appleton Engage listeners, thank you. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for being interested in learning about these resources, these amazing resources that we have in our community. We are a work in progress. Please, please, please do not hesitate to email us and let us know how we're doing. Let us know how we could be better. But also, if you would like to be a guest on Appleton Engaged, reach out to us. Or if you have someone you would like to suggest as a guest, reach out to us. And we can be reached at diversity@appleton.org. Once again, that is diversity@appleton.org. And there is one more ask that we have, Appleton Engaged listeners, and that is that one thing that will really help us get the word out about this particular podcast that is really becoming popular within the community is to increase our analytics. And the way we do that is by you pressing the subscribe button. So if you just take a moment while you are tuned into the podcast, press subscribe and leave us a review. Good, bad, or indifferent, leave us a review and let us know how we're doing. And what this does is this helps get this podcast in front of more eyes.
I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and, tried to realize that how powerful the language is and how it connects across communities. If you want to support the organization, volunteer for them. If you want to learn and upskill yourself, please contact them. And we will continue to get you other resources for your help, and we will love to have your support to those organizations. It goes both ways. Keep the love coming. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay engaged.